Hey friends, Wayne over here at the Ram Man Ink. Don't forget the ink. There's a little board right there so Kate doesn't have to insert that in video every time. Save her some money. So what we have is we have a gentleman, he sent his Hemi unit in. It's a very, very nice example of an original Hemi unit. Hemi booster. Now, a lot of people get confused because they don't know what goes on a Hemi booster. If you look at the sheet, a Hemi booster is a little bit more than a plain Jane booster. It has these little accessory things that go with it, and then it has the bracket assembly. This is all from your service manual. All the Hemi units bolt up to a factory manual plate. Whether it's a B body or an E body, they bolt up to the manual plate with the triangle in there. Or diamond, I guess. Diamond. So, right there, filter. Non-service means you couldn't get another one. Filter goes on the back of the booster. The boot retaining plate, which is very special, goes on next. And the boot goes on. Then the spacers go on. And you got 4 1/4-inch spacers. And then the brackets would go on. And then you have your 4 lock washers and your 4 regular nuts, 3/8 by 16. Up front, holding the master cylinder, Chrysler used these crimp nuts, or U-nuts some people call them. See how they're squished down? It's formed lock nut back then. And of course, you're only supposed to tighten down the master cylinder to 100 pounds. You're not supposed to put an impact on here and go to town. That's how people snap off their studs. Now, master cylinder that went on these B bodies was the 5621. It's an unusual master cylinder. They played around with the pistons and they played around with the volume, and it and another one is the only master cylinders that I've ever seen like this. The rear piston sticks out past the flange of the master cylinder. But all that goes to normal once you bolt it up. It's like, so you've got to get, so the piston's out, and so it's full of fluid in here. It has a full fluid load right there, and then when you push it in slightly, when you bolt it up to the booster, it's kind of like it's primed. It gives you just a little bit more fluid than a normal setup. Just a little bit more. So that's the cool thing about that. Now this gentleman, somebody had machined and fabricated this big old plate to go on here, which is kind of crazy. The other thing I see is, I see guys putting gaskets in between the master cylinder and the booster. There is no gasket between a master cylinder and a booster, as far as I know, basically on any car. So this is a sealed unit designed to hold vacuum. So by definition, it must be sealed. And this is a sealed unit by definition. It has to be in order for it to work. So why would you need to seal up two things to each other? One's vacuum and one's full of liquid. So they can all run together? No. When you see people stick that damn gasket behind the master cylinder, they're trying, that's old barnyard trick, shade tree mechanic. That's a dude trying to hide the fact that the master cylinder's leaking from the back and leaking down. Hell, I had a friend of mine that did that once back when I was a little kid on the Mopar. I said, take that master cylinder off, stick that gasket in there, force that shit into the booster. All right, boss. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to tell you is, yes, this is a good casting from the auto parts store, probably the 80s or the 90s. No Mopar master cylinder or Ford master cylinder, or for that matter, GM master cylinder. I have never, ever seen one that said made in the USA. Sorry to say, but they didn't have to do that back then. There was only one place that they were made, and that was the United States of America. Bendix and some subcontractors. So, the master cylinder bolts directly onto the booster. The other thing about that is, if you put a spacer, any kind of spacer, between the master cylinder and the booster, that means that it's going to reduce your travel. It's going to, because this booster rod, it only comes out so far. So if you put something in between, you're not going to get all the flow that you need. So, don't be putting no gaskets between the master cylinder and the booster unless you're trying to hide some shit. Now we're going to check this thing. It's already been checked, Uncle Ron, but now we're going to check it so we know for damn sure that it works great. Alright. Fired up our big old Hemi. Put some vacuum to it. Okay, we now have vacuum to this bad boy, and we'll notice that all of a sudden this rear plunger is extremely easy to move. Move it with the palm of your hand. It's very smooth. Motor just shut off. Going down the highway, damn thing backfired and just shut off. So, we're supposed to have some reserve in this can. The reason that they used the biggest booster available, not the smallest booster, contrary, the largest, biggest booster was used on the Hemi cars, borrowed from the Imperials, because of the large can and the vacuum reserve. Because the early Hemi cars were running mechanical cams through 68, and they were already pushing the vacuum limit. So, pushing it to the extreme. So, does it hold vacuum? We checked the operation to make sure it was smooth and under power and it didn't self-apply. Now we're going to see if it held any vacuum, if the can has good integrity. 1, 2. That's the end. Once there's no vacuum source, it is almost impossible, humanly impossible, to push this with the palm of your hand. Well, you gon' know. It takes all my strength. So, there you go, my friends. We have one good Hemi booster. Correct master cylinder going out. 5621. Used on the B-body Hemis. There you go, my friends. God bless you. God bless America. And happy Moparing. Bye.